I kind of go back and forth when it comes to the Calgary Flames as to what player they could get a lot for. Like, they're going to be trading quite a few players, in my opinion. You have Nazem Kadri, you have Rasmus Andersson, and for a while I thought Rasmus Andersson was going to be able to fetch the Flames the most, but I don't know, I have this feeling it's going to be kind of disappointing for some reason. I don't really know why. I'm not basing that in logic. It's like a feeling or something like that. But one player I think that they're going to get a heck of a lot for is Blake Coleman. I just wanted to talk about that for a second because there's so many murmurs that there's so many teams interested, but it kind of seems from these quotes and this new, NHL, rumors that we have that they're kind of going back and forth on this a little bit. They almost don't seem to know what to do internally. It's kind of weird. But welcome back to Pixel Plus Hockey. If you could make sure to hit that subscribe button, it would be greatly appreciated. And thank you to those that are already supporting me as well. And it is interesting, though, because if general managers are ruthless, they can really just send a player anywhere, right? If you, like, for example, you look at Puck Petey and you say, oh, well, this player might only have a 10-team no-trade clause or whatever they have, but a lot of GMs try to stay very respectful with that and only send a player somewhere that he wants to go, although that's not always the case. Sometimes it's just absolutely ruthless. But it's like, how do you want the Flames to approach this? But here we have a really interesting quote. David Pegg noted regarding Rasmus Andersson. It still sounds like Vegas and Dallas are the two teams that are at the top of his wish list, close quote. So I'm looking at Dallas right now. I don't know about you guys, screw Vegas. I'm looking at Dallas and saying that is the team that I would prefer to send him to, of course. Now, why do I say Dallas? Well, I love Jason Robertson. I think he's really, really good. One of my top hockey fantasy picks. And I just think he's a fantastic player, and that would be such a huge guess. Now, I know that's a little bit pie in the sky. I know it's a little bit pie in the sky. Maybe it won't happen. You still have to convince him to re-sign and stuff like that. But we knew there were some murmurs around this player, like was he going to move or wasn't he going to move? And I just think he is one of the elite power forwards in the NHL and would accelerate the Calgary Flames rebuild by at least a year or two. And here we have another really interesting quote from David Pagnotta regarding Nazem Kadri. A couple teams I look at there. We talked about Montreal before. The other team I started hearing about recently, Florida. Close quote. So please, God, don't send him to Florida. Like, you know what? At the end of the day, if it's good for the Flames, then why not? It's just like, man, the Florida Panthers are going to win another Stanley Cup, aren't they? Like, it's just killing me. But, I mean, it would be a good get for them, especially because they have Barkov on the shelf for so long, and who the heck knows when he's going to come back. I do wonder, though, what Florida could even offer the Flames that they actually want back. Like, what could they give them? I'm not really sure how many top assets they have. But again, when it comes to the Flames and Rasmus Andersson or Nazem Kadri or Blake Coleman, which they're probably going to get a decent amount for, you have to do what's best for the franchise. And in this portion, I'm kind of starting to lean with just send the players anywhere that you can to maximize their value to a place that is going to win a cup, and try to be respectful to the player, but just say, hey, we got to send you where we have to send you. And this follows me into the most interesting quote around this. David Pagnotta regarding Rasmus Andersson. If it's a team not on his no-trade list, if it's the best offer, then Calgary may say, we're going to send you to Colorado or wherever, Tampa, and you can figure it out after the fact, close quote. Now, that might decrease his value, though, because, of course, he probably wouldn't be willing to re-sign there. The murmurs are that he really, really wants to go to Vegas, although he did squash that a little bit and say, no, I actually was not only willing to give them one team, but I just never trust players with this. I genuinely think that he probably does really want to go to Vegas. Now, when it comes to Calgary or Vancouver or whatever team, I always say, do what you pick a lane, okay? You got to pick a lane, and you can't be afraid to pick that lane. So you got to rebuild or you got to rebuild. I'm okay with veteran leadership, but I just feel that some of these franchises, Calgary has a bit more of a defined look to them. I can see what they're kind of doing. They have a little bit too many veterans for me. Vancouver is one that they're just spinning their tires. They just don't really have much of a direction, at least when I look at them. But this is a really interesting quote right here, and the end of the quote I want to point to especially. David Pagnotta, in terms of sellers markets, yes, Canucks, yes, St. Louis, add Nashville into the mix, and to an extent, Calgary is still listening on guys. This is where it gets really interesting. Quote, trying to determine what the heck they want to do internally. Close quote. See, that seems like they're pointing to Calgary. He's pointing to Calgary saying, trying to determine what the heck they want to do internally. I want to draw you that. That gives me a little bit of concern. What does he mean, trying to determine what the heck they want to do internally? Like, I feel like this franchise should already know exactly what they're doing. Am I the only one that takes that quote and I'm kind of like, what do you mean by that? What do you mean do internally? It's a rebuild. The number one thing is get draft picks, draft elite talent, and trust your scouting staff. Those are the biggest ways to rebuild your franchise. So I kind of look at this as saying, trying to determine it. I'm like, you should already know what the heck you're doing. Like, the biggest goal for the Calgary Flames and the Vancouver Canucks for this season, in my opinion, is to get inside the top 5 of the NHL draft. If you look at the, NHL draft, it is like, it's really, really good at the top. The top has a bunch of really, really, really good players. We're talking about Veerhoff, Steenberg, like Gavin McKenna. Like, they just have so many really, 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 really good players. Lawrence will probably go 6th overall, center out of the USHL. So we're looking at a player at the top end of 10th overall that, they're going to be a lot of really good players. And they're the type of players that can completely transform your organization. If you have a player leaving your organization like Rasmus Anderson, you're going to have to replace him. Perhaps they would go for a Veerhoff, although I kind of think that if they did fall back in the draft, I really would love them to get Ivor Steenberg. I know he's short. I know he's not like the most sizable guy in the world. He's a little bit lanky or whatever, but he has so many attributes that you're like, he could skate, he could shoot, he can make plays. He plays at an elite offensive level. And it kind of, whenever I look at Ivor Steenberg, I just look at him as being like a perfect match for Calgary. He's playing in the Swedish Elite League right now. He has 22 points in 23 games. Like, we are talking about elite numbers. And I mean, the kid is so young playing at that elite of a level. It just makes too much sense. To me, when you have a player with a package like this that is all high end, so you talk about passing, playmaking, shooting, skating, edge work, you have all high end. To me, that just, he's obviously going to be a superstar forward. And what more does Calgary need than a superstar forward? Like, I know you could say, well, maybe they need something everywhere. If you're a really bad team, you kind of could use everything. But to me, that is the player I keep on pointing to. I kind of envision him in a Flames jersey because it would be such a great pick for them. Anyways, I'm probably getting too much ahead of myself, but they have to get in the top 5 of the NHL draft. Even if they don't get first overall, get inside the top 5, obviously, or the first overall pick and get Gavin McKenna. Anyways, guys, I'm going to leave this video here. If you can make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, I would greatly appreciate it, guys, and make sure to have a great day. Goodbye, guys.